questions for you.
Amazing. Well, hi everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Bruck, currently the acting county clerk. So I'll tell you a little about my background, a little about the office, because folks tend to not really know what the clerk does. We do a lot of behind-the-scenes government work. But I got involved in what I do now really through my mother. My mom worked at the Senate House State Historic Site when I was very young, and she raised me as a single mom. And so when I was done with school every day, I would go to the Senate House archives with her, and she's the one who taught me how to take care of old documents and how to read old handwriting and really the importance of local history. So local history was always a passion of mine growing up. And she always told me, like, you'll never find a job in local history. So I was doing something else. So I went to SUNY New Paltz for business, and I was super fortunate in 2016, the position of Ulster County Archivist became available. It was a civil service position, so I took the civil service test, scored well, and I became the county archivist. So I managed all of the county's historic documents. The county archives is under the clerk's office. The clerk's primary responsibility is keeper of the records. We manage all of the county's documents. And so our archives in Ulster County go back to 1658. We have some of the oldest records in the entire country in Ulster County, and it was really a treat for me to be able to manage those records. And we focused a lot on digging into them for marginalized history stories of women and Black history, Indigenous history that you couldn't find in the traditional Ulster County history books. So we did about 30 exhibits and 15, 16 different lecture series that traveled the county. And we manage a museum too. We're the only clerk's office in the state that has a museum, the Matthews Person House on the Four Corners in Kingston. So I managed that museum for 6 years. That was a huge treat for me as well. And eventually I was asked to move up to become the Deputy of Records Management. So instead of just managing the old records, I manage all of the county's records. So the clerk manages not just the clerk's records, but every other department as well. So we have a facility in Kingston that has about 40,000 cubic feet of records, about 60 different departments and agencies. And I really got to learn what every other department does, because the clerk in a lot of ways is like the interface between the government and the public. So we get a lot of inquiries that are not necessarily clerk related, and that taught me a lot about how to guide people and where they're supposed to go. And when I became deputy, the facility was frankly filling up. It was at about 95% capacity. We were bringing in more than we were destroying every year. So we had to start a huge digitization effort, and we imaged over 1 million documents a year to destroy them and get to the point where we were destroying more than we were taking in. So we were able to stabilize the record center. I did that for 2 years, and then unfortunately, due to my predecessor, Nina Posterpak's health issues last year, I was next in line of succession, and I was asked to become acting county clerk after she stepped down. So the records aspect of the clerk is one aspect. There's really 3 departments that we manage. The second is recording and filing, so all of your legal documents, all of your deeds, mortgages, court records, civil, criminal, they all go through the clerk's office and have to be filed according to state law. And similarly, the third is DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, the newest of all of the tasks that the clerk has the responsibility of managing. And that, again, like recording and filing, it all comes from the state. So what we do there is follow state statute, make sure that everyone's paperwork is correct. And my priority for a full term is to expand the hours of both recording and filing and DMV. Right now, we're generally open about 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, except for Thursdays, and that's usually when people work. So there's one other county in the state that I know of that has gone to a 4-day work week for their DMV employees, and it allows their DMV to be open from about 7 a.m. to about 6 p.m. every day, and it gives the DMV employees a 4-day work week, which they very much deserve. And so we're focused on just making sure that the DMV and recording and filing are more accessible for folks, and continue going forward with the work we've been doing in the archives to bring out these stories of underrepresented groups. And we've got a huge digitization effort for archival material now that's all becoming available for free online for scholars and authors, anyone really that's curious in this kind of work. But I really love the work that we do, and I've been doing it now 8 years and hope to continue, and I'm happy to answer any specific questions you may have about the position.
Good. I do have a lot of questions.
And
Just this morning, there was a story on the wire from The Guardian, and that said that Louisiana had issued a second indictment of Dr. Margaret Carpenter, who we know from your New Falls, who, I'm sorry, that's Minnie on my watch. I touched her, sometimes she's the only person that talks to me all day. So that Louisiana had issued a second indictment, and because Dr. Carpenter has been doing telehealth abortion providing, this is in addition to Texas, and Texas tried to expedite Dr. Carpenter. You resisted, and have you received an extradition request as yet from Louisiana, and will you again invoke the New York Shield Law?
We haven't received it yet, but whenever it comes through, absolutely, we're not going to be complying with any out-of-state civil or criminal proceedings per the New York State Shield Law. We're very fortunate to live in a state that provides us with that coverage at the local level, and so regardless of the repercussions, absolutely not. We'll do the exact same thing, we'll reject it, and we'll go from there.
Do you expect the Shield Law to be, do you have a timeline for when that test will come?
We don't have a timeline. No idea. Texas fought. We expect it to take a long time. These things usually get dragged out and go through the entire appeals process. As of right now, they haven't litigated against us yet. They've just sent a FOIL request and they're working through the material. So we imagine it's going to take quite a while, but it's unprecedented, so no one has a good idea of how long it's going to take, what's going to happen. So we'll wait and see.
Okay, thank you. Ulster County is a sanctuary county. What does it mean for the clerk's office? Is there a plan to protect records, the identities, for example, of our immigrant neighbors from being accessed or misused by overreaching federal entities?
Absolutely, and we don't even keep those documents. Nope. So in New York State, through the green light law, anyone is eligible for a driver's license regardless of immigration status. We do not ask immigration status at DMV. We do not care. We have no record saying whether or not you are a legal citizen or not, unless you apply for an enhanced or a real ID, where we do require proof of citizenship. But
that was my next question.
Just for a normal license, we don't ask. We have no records that say one way or the other. We've met with our district attorney and county executive and our sheriff for guidance on what to do if ICE shows up to DMV, because that is a location that we could obviously see them coming to target folks. And we were given very clear guidance that they need to have a warrant that lists specifically who they are looking for, why they are looking for them, and why they would be at DMV at that exact time. So we certainly won't be complying with any blanket statement from ICE if they show up and say we're going to check everyone's immigration status at the door. Luckily, all of our county government is on the same page about this, and we have another meeting coming up in a couple weeks just to reiterate all of it. But luckily, as of right now, we haven't. None of that has occurred yet, but we're certainly prepared for it. I've trained the whole DMV staff and in recording and filing that if any federal agent shows up at all, contact me directly and we'll take care of it.
So in terms of making the DMV more accessible to vulnerable populations, for example, particularly the people that we're trying to work out ways to help the victims of domestic violence who may come here without access to their other identification. Is there something that you're able to do to facilitate that?
Well, we've been doing, so the laws are already in place for them to be able to get their traditional license and things, but what we're finding is that they're nervous to work with the government at all. And so an effort of mine has been to reach out to their communities directly, go on Spanish-speaking radio shows, let them know what their rights are, what they can do, because the state is being sued right now for the green light law as well. We don't know how that lawsuit is going to come, but we're trying to let the Spanish-speaking community specifically know that right now it is still a law, and they should come right now and get it, because then they'll have their license for at least 8 years until it expires. But I don't see any other way to convince them that we are a safe space at the Ulster County DMV, because a lot of DMVs are not, unfortunately, statewide, and one of only 6 Democratic county clerks in the entire state. There's been a number of county clerks that have refused to abide by the green light law, and that all went through state Supreme Court. So we just want to make sure that folks know, and it doesn't even have to be Ulster County constituents. The DMV is a statewide entity. You can live in Dutchess County and come to Ulster County DMV.
Oh, that's really good to know.
Yeah, so we're trying to get that word out there as well, that if you know folks in other counties who don't feel comfortable going to their local DMV, they can come to us. And again, we don't ask immigration status, we don't care. We want to get you your documents and make sure that you feel safe and don't ask any unnecessary questions.
Very good. Have the DMV mobile hours been affected? Seniors tend to rely on them if they're not super mobile. Have they been reduced, expanded? How is that working?
They haven't been reduced or expanded other than for maintenance on the bus. The bus, when I first became clerk for a few months, had a number of issues with it that are now thankfully fixed. We're looking to expand the hours of the bus by keeping it or sending it to locations on Saturdays. I think it would be really beneficial to send it to various farmers markets around the county. There's a lot of people there already. They can get their DMV work done right there. The issue that we're running into right now, we have one DMV bus driver and he is retiring next month. So we are looking for a replacement DMV bus driver, and well, we'll see how the budget turns out, maybe two, because if we have two, then we could do a Saturday, and then we could expand it pretty significantly. We are expanding the locations that it's going to. It went to Platic Hill for the first time. We're working with Highland to see if we can go to Highland. So we want to make sure that it's going to all corners of the county and spreading that out evenly, because fully understand it is not easy to come to Kingston if you live far away, and even if you live there, it's not easy to find parking. So we would love for the DMV bus to be expanded pretty significantly.
Good. March was talking about the surplus that the county has, but you're talking about your budget cuts. Has the cuts impacted services, and do you expect to receive full funding at any point, or what are you thinking?
We haven't experienced any cuts at the clerk's office. Okay. We're pretty lean. We actually are going to be, it's kind of breaking news, we're going to be eliminating one of our DMV fees. The plate surrender fee is a $1 cash only fee. It is very frustrating. It's a county fee, but what we did the first few months that I was there, we used to pay a company to come when you turned your plates in. They would come and they'd pick up all the plates and we would pay them to do that. We bought a shredder and we just shred them in-house now. And now the recycling company comes and pays us for the scrap, and it kind of covers that cost, so we're able to get rid of that fee. So we haven't been affected by budget cuts, and we're actively looking for ways that we can reduce fees to just help folks who are going to be really bearing the brunt of these cuts are the people. So we're looking for how we can just get leaner.
One last question. Passports. Did you just start explain why we come to you for a passport rather than one of the post offices?
Sure. We'll take your picture. I know a lot of the post offices are hesitant to do that. But yeah, as a county clerk, we're an agent of the State Department, so we can issue passports. We're restarting Passport Night. This is something that Nina did after 5 o'clock. Once or twice a month in a different municipality, usually in their town hall. We're going to have Passport Night, so you can go to your local town hall and get your passport done. But the fees are generally the same if you do it through us or the post office. And yeah, there's a whole host of other passport issues with the State Department right now, because that's one of the direct interactions we have with the federal government. I'll just give you an example. We went to order our passport applications 2 weeks ago, and they said, "Oh, you can't order these right now. They are all on hold." So unfortunately, so they recommended, what they did is they posted the old passport application on their website, and they said you can print it out yourself. So whereas the State Department used to send them to us for free, your taxpayer money in Ulster County is now footing the bill to print them, just because they've removed the ability for people to put the X gender marker if they're non-binary, and they did not update the form. And so they've told us that the current form is now invalid, they won't send it to us, and they've uploaded the old form, we now have to print it, so we are just constantly fighting with the State Department. Yeah, that's a whole nightmare, but...
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
No.